Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to talk about the plant that might be my least favorite on the planet, and that's Bermuda grass, or some other people call it wiregrass, and it goes by lots of other names as well. Any place that has mild winters and hot summers, you are familiar with this plant. It's used as turf grass. You'll see it in the fairways and golf courses. You'll see it in lots of homes here in the South, planted as turf grass, and so it's been hybridized to be really matted down low to the ground. A great looking ornamental grass. It goes dormant in the winter if you have cold during the winter time. But it's also just a crazy obnoxious weed. It can grow so fast. It can root so deep into the ground. And it just has an amazing ability to survive almost anything. I'll give you a closer up view of it, but this is, you can see why it's called wiregrass. As I come across here, it will just crawl on the ground until it finds an opportunistic spot to root in. So there's roots right there where I had pulled this piece up, and roots down here on the other end as well. But look how long this one piece is, as it's just trying to find its way up into the bed and trying to latch on to another spot. So this thing can spread by crawling across the ground and rooting in. It can spread by underground rhizomes. So these roots themselves can travel underground and then pop up in other places, or it can spread by seed. So it's really, really good at spreading itself about. Down below this video, those of you in much colder areas, maybe you wouldn't have an issue with Bermuda grass, but you might have knotweed or some other weed. What's your number one most the weed that drives you the most crazy that you just can't seem to get rid of? Let me know down below this video. I've got this patch right here where there was Bermuda grass throughout this garden, and what I did was I just shaved everything off as low as I could with the lawnmower, and then we put some compost down, and then we put a big layer of wood chips on top of that, and it pretty much killed everything that was back here. And we had some there was ivy back here, Bermuda grass back here, creeping Charlie is another one that will probably come up on people's lists for most hated weeds. There were just a lot of things. There was some liriope back here, some liriope spicata, which spreads. I was able to kill most of that just by burying it in organic material. But this one spot of Bermuda grass came back, and I had already planted a Veronica in here. And the Veronica has the purple flowers here. It's been blooming all summer long. It's been 2 years in a row. It's looked great. And I keep pulling this Bermuda grass and keep pulling this Bermuda grass, and I cannot get rid of it. So I'm gonna have to pull this Veronica out. I'm gonna see if I can separate this Bermuda grass from it, but I have a feeling that the Veronica just needs to be a sacrificial plant so I can finally rid this space over here of this Bermuda grass. But I'm gonna dig it out real quick, and then I'll give you a close-up of the flowers. The one problem here on this Bermuda is it can root 5 or 6 feet down in the ground. This is a compacted soil in an urban lot. It's not going to be able to root that kind of depth, but in places with sandier soils, coastal areas, that kind of thing, this thing can root so deep down in the ground. But again, I've been trying to just pull it for the last couple of years, and I could not get it to come out. But man, I've gotten this whole piece in one shot. Let's see, I'll bring the camera over here closer to it in a second. You can see this is just Bermuda running throughout this Veronica. So again, I think the Veronica is going to ultimately be trashed. Maybe I can save a small piece of it and plant it back in here. We'll see in just a second. But the main thing right now is just to make sure that I've gotten this Bermuda grass out of here, and it hasn't run off anywhere else. I've contained it right here because I keep pulling it, thinking that one day I'll pull just the right piece, and that'll be that. And then I look back over here. If you leave any piece laying on the ground, again, it's super opportunistic. If it was moist, a little moisture in the air, it would immediately just root right back in the ground. So I think I may finally have it. And what I'll do is I'll come through here and I'll just break this soil up underneath a bit. Got a good sunny day today. I might flip this over 2 or 3 times just to make sure any roots come up to the top surface and get themselves cooked in the sun today. And it didn't run up under my Nandina, hasn't run up under the Agapanthus. And I've got a camellia here that it has not run up under. So okay, let's take a look at it. Again, we can see just how long some of these pieces are, and they're just trying again to be opportunistic and run off and find a new spot to root in. And here's that Veronica. It's bloomed amazingly well for 2 years, considering it was the Bermuda grass was trying to choke it. It has not been this bad the whole time. Steph and I were out of town quite a bit toward the end of summer, and that allowed a lot of this to run off in here. Because every time I'd walk past it, I would pull out, I'd take a piece like this, and I would just pull it and get some of the roots out. And so I had kept it looking good until I didn't, and then this is what it did pretty quickly. I'm going to go through here and see if I can find a couple of these pieces of Veronica without Bermuda grass that I can put back in that spot. I got to get it down to just bare root pieces, no soil, no nothing. That definitely has no Bermuda grass coming back with it. And again, I think that the best thing to do might be, okay, I got a piece right here. It's a very small living piece. The part up on the top of it right there is dead, but I think that's good enough. It doesn't take much with this Veronica. Let's see. Find another spot here somewhere where I can get another piece of it and replant it. Hopefully I got it out of here, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, I don't want nothing going back over there. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Here's a few other pieces that are Bermuda free. Okay. Perfect. That's all I need. That's all I need. The rest of this can leave the property. Okay. All right. So this is what I've got. So I've got roots right there on the bottom of these, and again, it's almost time for them to be going dormant. So it doesn't really matter what the Veronica looks like right now. Not the best time of year necessarily to be butchering on something right before we get a frost or a freeze, but this stuff is tough enough that it'll come back out from that. So there are non-selective herbicides like Roundup, or glyphosate is the chemical in Roundup, or selective herbicides that can spray Bermuda out of other things. So herbicides that have been created specifically to kill the Bermuda and not kill something else. If you have to, if you get down to that point of having to control it that way, and if you have a Bermuda lawn, that might be the only way to keep it from constantly coming in the beds. I've got zoysia in the front garden, and it creeps, but it creeps way, way, way slower than Bermuda does, and doesn't creep underground quite as badly as the Bermuda does. It does the same thing that Bermuda does. It just does it on a much slower scale, so it's much easier to control. But this stuff, again, has always been my most hated thing. You can deny it sunlight is another thing you can do. You can put plastic over it. I found that completely ineffective in the past. What I did, again, is I just buried it in a foot of organic material and got rid of most of it. A few things have come up here or there, which is, this was the last of them that I'm cleaning up now, and I kind of had to sacrifice a plant. I think I'm going to get a few of those pieces to come back over there. So maybe I haven't sacrificed a plant, but it might come down to that at some point, that you have to dig up a ground cover or something and try to pull out a piece of it and replant it to get rid of the Bermuda. But again, let me know down below what's your kind of most hated weed, the thing that you compete against the most. I mean, there's English ivy growing back here behind me, and ivy's a pain, vinca's a pain. So there's so many creeping perennials like that, and then creeping grasses like Bermuda like this, or self-seeding annuals like henbit and chickweed and crabgrass and those kinds of things. But Bermuda, to me, is the hardest thing to garden with. I mean, if I had a Bermuda lawn, if I moved into a place with Bermuda lawn, it'd be the first thing on my list to get rid of. But just because I don't think I can garden the way that I garden, with having these annual borders right around the lawn and that kind of thing, with this Bermuda grass in play. And hope hopefully this is the last of it. I've got some in my neighbor's garden back here, and it tries to creep through the fence, but I cut it back off occasionally, and I'll have some more pop up here or there. But this was the last of the persistent spots that's just annoyed me here for the last couple of years. Thanks for watching.